You are listening to The Jimmy Tebeau Show on KKID 92.9 FM, Salem, Rolla.
We're live. That's right, 20,000 watts of power coming at you. That's right, we are live. It's The Jimmy Tebeau Show. I'm your host, Jimmy Tebeau. And we're going to go on a little journey tonight on this Wednesday night. 2 hours, buckle your seatbelt, because it's going to be a musical adventure, a ride, and there'll be no throwing cigarette butts out the window on this trip.
That's right.
Okay, but we have a house full of people here today, and with us is the legendary Beetle Bob. Hi, Bob. How you doing, man?
Jimmy, how you doing? It's good to be here, and this is going to be a little bit different for me because you're not used to seeing me sit down for 2 hours.
Yeah. So when you did your show, did you sit down? Your radio show that you used to do? Or was it a standing?
Well, I would actually, literally, when I would introduce the record, start dancing, literally, or at least move it around.
Right,
how can you sit still,
exactly.
playing those good jams?
No, I know. That's why I got a rocking chair. Get it? Rocking chair?
Oh, yeah.
That was a joke there.
It was a joke, yeah.
Steve, the joke section is usually halfway through the show.
Yeah, I know.
We are going to do some comedy in this show. We're gonna play some recorded music of our choosing, and since Beetle Bob here, he is going to be choosing some of his favorite cuts, which we'll be hearing throughout the show. I might even play some songs, and we might get into the left-wing agenda and talk about, I don't know, we usually end up on legalizing marijuana or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is legalized. It's just now the process, and I think there's been some, actually, I looked on the website today. It's been updated as of yesterday, so when that time comes, I can give you
we have the update, because we try to keep our finger on the pulse of what's hip and what's going down.
Yeah.
Well, before we get too much further, I got to tell the story of what the Schwag did this past weekend, because that's somewhat part of the show, is the musical ongoing saga and adventures of the Schwag, the band I've been in 28 years. And I'm like,
no doubt. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. Over 3,000 shows.
Wow.
What was I thinking? I don't know, but we're still doing it. And each week we get into something. Last week we talked about Birdfest, because that was like a week of our lives right there. But this past weekend we got booked to play at Harrah's Casino in North Kansas City at the club they have there called the Voodoo Lounge. And we get there, and it's a super sweet venue with a balcony. It holds like 1,400 people.
Wow.
And it's super professional. Like, before I even get there, I'm starting to get, 2 days beforehand, I'm starting to get emails, text, and Facebook messages from Judy, the marketing director, and then it was like Luke, the production manager, then Lee, the entertainment director, and then Cinnamon, the catering hostess or something, and all these people were working on the show, and they were on it, and I was like kind of nervous, because these casino gigs are high profile.
Right.
And we get there right on time, we load in, and we're on it. And then Cinnamon comes up and is like, okay, here's your hotel keys, and here's your buffet passes. And the band and crew are like, sweet. And she's like, oh, by the way, it's all-you-can-eat crab leg night. And yeah, so we proceed after sound check, to get in line, and actually we kind of beat the Saturday night rush of the line, because I didn't know there was a rush, but we got there, got seated, and we hit that buffet, and I think our drummer went through 20 or 30 stacks of those crab legs. We have photographic evidence.
There you go.
It was quite
there
impressive. It was
That's
wild. I think I
question.
had about 4 racks myself, but I was having dessert in between each set, so it was out of control.
And what surprised me was, it being a casino, it was a mixed crowd, so some of the old ladies in there would go up and get a big plate of these crab legs. And I'm like, wow, are they gonna? And all the tables had these little buckets on them to where,
you put your
waste, because a lot of it's waste. Well, anyway, the buffet was amazing, and then we go do the show. The strange thing is the entertainment director and the production manager were like, hey, now you gonna do like a 60-minute set or a 75? And I'm like, well, we usually play like 3 hours. Our crowd looks for that. And they're like, oh no, man. Every show here, even national acts, 75 minutes, 90 maybe tops. And like, well, we were even going to take a set break. It's like, no, you'll lose the crowd. The casino's right there. There's all this stuff to do.
Right.
It's hard enough getting them in here, and we're trying to sell drinks.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll make a deal with you. At 75 minutes, if we got a full dance floor and there's people buying drinks, can we keep going? And they're like, yeah, but, you know, you just want to leave the audience before they leave you. So then the contest was on. How long can we hold this casino crowd and our regular swag crowd that's been with us for years? So it was a good mix.
Right.
So we were sizing up the crowd and kind of picking the tunes, flowing with the crowd, and we held them. And after 2 hours and 5 minutes, they were still there with us. And I'm like, well, maybe I should wrap it up and have a powwow with the production manager. So, we're like, thank you. And we walk off the stage and the production manager's there. I'm like, it sounds like they want an encore. Can we do another one? Are we done? And he's like, you guys can do what you want. Wow. The crowds. So we played like a 3-song encore, 25 minutes. So we did 2.5 hours. Yeah. So we may have set the record there of holding the audience. I was really proud of that. Not that we sold the place out. You know, there was maybe 200 or 300 people there. But they were real happy with that. Apparently some of the big $30,000 bands they hire maybe do 200 or 300 people. The ticket price is a little bit higher, but it was a sweet venue. But that was the Adventures of the Swag over the weekend, North Kansas. So we just did a one-off, but it was a pretty neat gig. And then they were talking about having us back at the same time next year.
Awesome.
In rotation.
There you go.
Okay, enough of me. And we want to point out we do have the magic microphone. And Bob said he's even going to talk into it. What do you got, Bob?
Well, you know, one of my...
he's afraid of it. I know he's afraid of it.
I'll do it a little bit later.
No. That's okay. So we got Beetle Bob here, and what's going on, Bob? I've known you for over 20 years, 25 years.
At least, yeah.
I've been seeing you at shows. And I remember maybe the first time seeing you was maybe at a show at the old Mississippi Nights.
Long forgotten, but never, long gone, but never forgotten club.
Right. And it was one of those shows where there's the dance floor and then the seating area. And it was one of those shows where everyone was kind of sitting and no one was on the dance floor yet. And you were the one guy that went out and broke the silence of the dance floor and just started getting down to this band. And I forgot what it was. I'm like, man, that guy's cool. I was like, who's that? Oh, that's Beetle Bob.
Awesome.
But you've been to many, many, many concerts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's I keep a diary of every show I've gone to, even as a young kid. My uncle influenced me to do that. One time we went to a show when I was about 8 years old. It was a local band playing a local park, Tower Grove Park. And I commented to him, well, you know, it's a shame that we don't have a memento for the show. In other words, a ticket stub or a flyer.
Right.
And he said, what you ought to do is just keep a diary. And I've got just literally dozens of spiral notebooks just filled, handwritten, you know, what show I saw, who was the opening band, who was the headliner.
Wow.
And that comes in handy for this reason. We've all gone to a show, whether it's at a small venue or even a big venue, where on your ticket stub or the flyer, one of the bands canceled. Now, you may remember that for a while, but 20 years from now, you're looking at your ticket stub or your poster for that show. I saw all these bands. So what I do in my spiral notebook, these 3 bands were scheduled. This one canceled. This is the band that replaced it. And if no one replaced them, I just said this band canceled.
Right.
So it comes in handy, yeah.
Right. Wow. So my question is, so your first logging, so to say, was when you were 8 years old then?
No, that was... I would say that was the first one, because, and then I obviously when you're 8 years old, you don't go to too many concerts, so I went back and you would write them down, the ones I could, because there wasn't too many there wasn't too many to gather. You just don't have the income unless your parents or your relatives take you. So then I went back and I put the ones that I saw previously.
Gotcha.
Well, I know you've seen the Beatles play at Busch Stadium in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, The old Busch Stadium had just been built that year, spanking brand new. And they played on a Sunday, August 21st, 1966. And that was the only time they came to St. Louis. They only did 3 tours of the United States, 64, 65, 66. Some cities got them all 3 years, like New York, Chicago, L.A., Seattle. Some got them 2. We only got them once, and believe it or not, just 8 days later, they would perform their last concert ever. Now I'm talking about a concert in front of people, not the rooftop thing they did on Apple Studios in San Francisco. What was unique about that night, and a lot of people don't realize it, and you could never do that in today's age with all the equipment, the lighting, and special effects. The Beatles actually played, and all the supporting acts played 2 shows that day in 2 different cities. The night before, Saturday, August 20th in Cincinnati, thunderstorms, lightning. They could not get they had to cancel the show. The Beatles and all the other groups the next day did a noon show, flew to St. Louis, and did a doubleheader in 2 cities. You could never do that today with all that equipment, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
And that would, because of they were starting to drizzle that night in St. Louis, they were afraid it might get, rained out again. This is the first time in the Beatles, after they became famous, that they didn't close their own show. Because of the threat of heavy rain, maybe, they had the Beatles come on third instead of the 5 acts. Because they didn't, and it's the only time in the history of the Beatles, after they became big, they did not close one of their own shows.
Wow. Yeah. So do you remember the other 4 acts that were there?
Yeah, it was one of my all-time favorite girl groups of all time, the Ronettes, Be My Baby, Walking in the Rain. The thing about it, is that we were, everybody on that tour, we weren't able to see Ronnie Spector, the lead singer of the Ronettes. Of course, she was married to the eccentric who's now in jail for murder, Phil Spector.
Right.
Phil was extremely jealous. In fact, when Ronnie would go out to drive in her car, he actually had a blow-up of him that's sitting in the seat next to her. I'm serious. It's a true story. Anyway, Phil, was afraid that, for whatever reason, the Beatles might make a play on her or something. So she was not allowed to go on that tour. And it was, the other band was The Circle, actually managed by Brian Epstein of the Beatles. They had a number 2 hit that summer, Red Rubber Ball, that was actually written by one of the Seekers and Paul Simon of Paul and Simon, of Simon and Garfunkel. And then Bobby Hebb, who wrote that great song, number 2, this summer, Sunny.
Right.
Yep. It's a little history about that song, Sunny. A lot of people play that at their weddings, and it's a beautiful song, but actually, the song was not written about a girl. It was written about Bobby's brother who was killed, murdered right outside a Memphis club with a knife. Wow. And it's a tribute to him.
Wow.
Yeah, and people think it's a song about a girl, and also the other band that was not known, never had a hit, but they're a legendary garage band now called The Remains.
The Remains.
Yeah, the Remains.
Nothing remains of the Remains.
The Remains, a great Boston band, and what's amazing about those guys is that despite never having a hit, they actually got to play the Ed Sullivan Show. Now, what's unique about that, to play Ed Sullivan Show, either a rock group or a soul band, you had to have a hit, and they got to play that show. In fact, they actually had triple duty on that tour. Besides playing their own set, they had to back up Bobby Hebb, who did Sunny. They had to back up the Ronettes, so they did triple duty on that tour.
Oh, they're by the backup, so they're up there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
But also, too, something about that U.S. That St. Louis gig. The 3 Beatles had been wanting to quit the road for a long time. The equipment was not made for stadiums. It just wasn't good equipment. They were tired of it. The girls were screaming them out. They were offbeat half the time. And the other Beatles, John, Ringo, and George didn't want to do it. But it was the St. Louis show that changed Paul's mind. They were playing in the rain. There was a threat of electricity, But when they got in the van to leave the stadium, the van they were traveling in had no seats and nothing to hold on to. And Paul said it was like the Beatle cartoons. We were falling all around the van. And Paul said, "That's it, guys. You're right. No more touring after this year."
Wow. And that was it.
Wow, thanks for telling the story. Yeah. Beatle Bob with the story. What year was that? 64?
66.
66.
Yeah, their last year of touring.
I was born in 67, so.
Oh, just missed it, Jimmy.
You're just a little bit older. Just could have been there. I caught on to the Grateful Dead at one point. Though.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's an entirely another story. Oh, man. You know, you and me share a similar passion of going to concerts. You know, I see you a lot of concerts that I go to. I perform a lot of concerts.
You do.
I like going to. I saw the band Tool the other night. Were you there?
No.
You've seen them before, though.
Yeah, I saw them actually when they were first starting out. They actually played Mississippi Nights, you know, and went before they became big.
I saw them at it's called the Enterprise Center now.
Where the St. Louis Blues play.
Yeah, and man, it was pretty much sold out. And I got a floor seat the day of the show.
Oh my gosh!
And towards the back, I was sitting back by the mixer board and that. But man, they put on an amazing show. Yeah. It's all choreographed, and their dynamics were great. The visuals were amazing. They had lasers and but anyway, I've seen you at a wide variety of shows. You know, there was that one time we saw the band Delight. I was in the front row, and you come boogieing down front there. Remember that band?
Yeah.
Groove is in the heart.
Heart, yeah.
And how could you not dance to that song? It was a dance party.
Yeah, I mean, it was in fact, it would have been hard to notice me really dancing at that show because, I mean, there was a lot of people grooving that night on the dance floor, you know, really.
Yeah, well, we were mushed up right up against the front of the stage. That's when the hit was the biggest, though.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What's some of your favorite shows that you've seen? You know, the Beatles is one of the legendary ones, but what's some of the groups that since you've seen so many bands, what's one or two shows that are really
definitely my favorite show of all time was October 28th, 1968 at the old Kiel Auditorium, where the Stipple Center, or Stiple, whatever it's called, sits now. I've been wanting to see him for years, and it was an electrifying show. They don't call Mr. Dynamite for nothing. James Brown and the Famous Flames. Wow. My number one concert of all time, yeah. That was just an electrifying show. One of my other favorites was at the Fox Theater. Legendary soul singer Al Green. That was a phenomenal show.
I bet.
Yeah. And seeing the Rolling Stones the first time they came in '65. And they were just starting to have a few hits. Believe it or not, the place was only half full, about 5,000 people, you know.
Where was that at?
The old Kiel Opera House.
The Opera House?
The Opera House,
so they didn't fill up the upper balcony.
Right, yeah. Well, I should say the Kiel Auditorium was where the Enterprise Center is now.
Right,
you know?
Right.
And the Kiel Opera House, which was smaller.
Right.
That's where the Stipple, or Stiple, whatever they call it, you know, is at now.
Oh, okay, I get it. Amazing.
But those are two of my favorites, you know, and like I said, the Stones. I mean, it was, even though it was a small crowd for them. I mean, the girls were rushing the stage, and I can't remember the name of this. They had this old security company that did the shows, and it was all these old guys, you know. And I'm not making fun of it, but what I'm saying, they were just overmatched with these young teenagers rushing the stage. You know, they had no chance of you know ebbing the flow, you know, the onslaught.
That's good stuff. I know you've seen, probably over 10,000 shows.
Oh, yeah, at least, yeah. And the heyday of my concert-going shows was during the 90s. I mean, it's still going strong, but I think the one club that I'll never top in terms of shows that I went to was the old Cicero's Basement. Now, I'm talking the old one where Blueberry Hills Duck Room is now.
I've seen some shows down there. I've played a few shows.
My God, I mean,
before they moved up the street.
The eclectic booking they had at that little hole-in-the-wall club was just amazing. And for about a period of 5 years, I averaged 120 shows in one calendar year, in 5 years in a row at Cicero's.
Oh, just at that one venue?
The national acts they had were just incredible, yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't. It wasn't really a stage. It was literally a basement.
Oh, I mean, it's about 6 inches because you would literally hit your head on the stage if you were as tall as I did, and you were jumping a little bit.
Right, and 150 people sold it out.
Yeah,
I saw Bela Fleck there.
In the Flecktones.
I think I talked to you.
Right, yeah, that was a good show.
They're coming back in June, and now they're playing Powell Hall.
Yeah, isn't that something? Yeah.
And I've got tickets to that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a concert-going fanatic.
But, you know, Jimmy, I've told that, and I know I don't have to tell you this, or maybe a lot of our listeners too, but really, some of these smaller clubs, I've seen bands, and a lot of people didn't know who they were. They didn't come. And for instance, just thinking about this group the other day, saw them there 4 times at Off-Broadway before they were selling out hockey arenas, the Dixie Chicks.
Oh,
And
wow.
they were at that time, though, they were more of a bluegrass band, though, believe it or not.
Wow.
But I saw them 4 times at Off-Broadway, you know. And I've seen just many bands like that at these smaller clubs that, you know, went on to become, you know, much bigger, you know.
To promo this show, I today on Facebook, I said, hey, Beetle Bob's going to be on the radio show. Check it out. And I put a 40-second clip of you dancing on stage with us at Ballpark Village recently. And there was like 2,000 people there, and you're between me and the guitarist just getting down with your signature dance moves.
Well, you know, that was a good day, too, because before the Cardinals won, and then after you did your doubleheader later that night, the Blues won in their NHL playoff game. So it was a great day for St. Louis to top it off with 2 swag shows.
Right, but me pulling you on stage is not unusual, because there's been other bands that have pulled you on stage, much more famous than the Swag, such as. Well,
one of my favorites and kind of embarrassing, and I say embarrassing, I'll get to that in a minute, was at Bonnaroo, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer who passed away about 8 or 10 years ago, Solomon Burke. Great soul guy. They called him, his nickname was the King of Rock and Soul. We were good friends, and I actually got him booked at this club on the north side of Grand Avenue called Club 54, which is long gone. We became friends because he showed up at the club, and he didn't bring his own band. He was going to have the late, great Oliver Sane band back him up.
Oh, I remember them.
Well, the club owner found out about that, and even though he had booked Oliver Sane by himself, didn't like that idea. And when I happened to interview him before the show, so we went to the show pre-show before, you know, not the pre-show, but you know, before the sound check, and then wouldn't let him in the door. And I said, can we talk to the guy who runs it, you know? And I could see him hiding behind the door. And it's very cowardly. And he wouldn't let him in. But anyway, to make a long story short, the show never went on. We went back to his hotel room. I spent the night with him talking, you know. Yeah. Forward a couple years later, he comes to play the Big Muddy Blues Festival. This is when it was downtown. Yep. And I'll be doggone if that club owner doesn't serve him with a court order for not performing that show. Really? And he's the guy that wouldn't let him in the door. Oh. And I said, Solomon, if this goes to court, and I left a message at the club. I didn't get him live, but I said, if you bring this to court, I'm going to serve as a witness. And he was never taken to court.
Wow, good for you.
But anyway, we go to Bonnaroo, and I introduce him on stage. And his last song, he has me come out, and he hands me a microphone, and he wants me to sing along with him that hit single, "Everybody Needs Somebody to Love." Right. Now that wasn't so bad. I was singing real low because I don't want to, right. Because he's got the girl singers singing it and him singing. I just do the bridge. Anyway. He gets off the stage to leave, and I'm walking down. No, Bob, you stay out there, keep singing. and I keep saying, everybody needs somebody to love. And I keep looking at him. You want me to come? No, just stay out there. And now the embarrassing thing about it, I'm not nearly a great singer, and I know the people would rather see Solomon sing than me out there. And I'm looking at the crowd, and
now Solomon is a big guy.
Oh, I mean, he's about 200, almost 300 pounds.
I think he might be pushing 400. Yeah. Well, they would have a big throne
like
for
a
him.
throne,
He sits during the show.
He does the whole show.
I've seen his shtick. He sits in a big throne.
Yeah.
It's literally looks like a king's throne, and he's dressed to the hilt. He's well dressed. Big man, and he's singing, and so he's off the stage, which is kind of a big thing for him anyway, just to get on and off the stage. So he's not coming back out.
No, but the thing is, I kept motioning, and he said, "No, stay out here." He's on the wings of the stage, just going like this, Right. And I'm saying, "Man, these people want to hear him sing, not me," But anyway, that was that was one of the more monumental
Bonnaroo, which there would have been 20 or 30,000 people in front of you.
Yeah, right. 80,000 altogether at all the different stages. But that tent
for
was
that
packed.
Particular show. Oh,
right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you've been on stage with Galactic, maybe?
Galactic, yeah.
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans, yeah. Galactic in New Orleans. Who else? Aaron Neville actually invited me on stage one day. Yeah, the Neville brothers.
The Neville
yeah,
brothers.
yeah.
Wow.
And then
Because your dance moves are so signature. And
Yeah, right.
These other artists are like, hey, it's cool that you're willing to share.
Right,
Some people are shy about dancing.
Right.
Like I play this Grateful Dead music, and the general dance to the music is kind of a singular thing. It's not like
Right.
pairing off. And there's no real designated dance moves. It's just you move to the music.
or as the saying goes, you dance to the beat of your own drummer, you know.
Yep. Or you dance as though no one is watching.
Right. That's
And you dance as though even if people are watching, I don't care. I'm getting down.
right.
You know, as long as you're maybe not, what is it, the word, Elaine from Seinfeld? I think that you've ever seen that episode.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Now, if you go that far, someone might give you a tap on the shoulder. But besides that, but you've got some really unique dance moves, and that's why I thought it's cool to get you on stage. And you would MC at the Schwagstocks, introduce bands, and even at the Spookstocks Halloween events, MC the
Halloween contest. Those were always fun, you know,
Yes.
because, and you know, Jimmy would always ask. At first, Jimmy wanted me not only to select the top ones, but pick the winners. I said it's tough enough making the top 10. It was my idea. Let the audience pick the top 3, because it was tough enough to pick top 10, you know, and let the audience. And the audience did a good job.
That's what we do. We'd like let's hear it for contestant number 1.
Right. It's like a game show contest,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
And then me and Bob
Right,
would be
right.
like, yeah, you know.
Mhm.
There was a little bit of play in it, but you know,
Right.
I mean, it was obvious who everyone
Yeah.
was cheering for.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a wet T-shirt contest or skin to win or anything. It was a cool
Yeah.
Halloween costume contest.
And you know what? I remember some of them costumes down there, man. They were some pretty elaborate costumes.
They really put forth a lot of effort, a lot of
Right.
creativity into it. They weren't store-bought costumes, you know.
No.
You could tell.
Right.
Yeah, didn't someone dress up as you one year?
Yeah, it was amazing, you know.
Someone dressed up as
A
Beetle
twin.
Bob.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
but then
twin.
someone dressed up as me once too, and it was a girl, ironically. So yeah, and she looked pretty good.
Wow. Wow.
Well, you know, one of my favorite dress-up things, and it fooled me for the longest time, was that it was a spook stock. Aaron Cam was playing. Aaron dressed up like Freddie Mercury. I mean,
Remember that.
and he came on stage to do the sound check and says, I wonder who this guy is, you know. And when he started singing, it fooled me. He walked right past me. I could see him. I could not tell. It was Aaron.
Wow.
He dressed he had it down perfectly. He could have sat right next to me during the whole show, and I would have never known that was Aaron Cam. That's how good it was.
Wow.
He put
Wow.
some effort into it because he grew the Freddie Mercury mustache
Yeah.
a few weeks leading into it, and then tightly shaved that morning.
Right.
Everything.
I mean,
That
it
wasn't the
fooled
Freddie
me, and
Mercury.
I've seen Aaron play dozens of times. I didn't
Right.
even talk to him after shows.
Oh.
He fooled me completely.
He even colored. Yeah, he even got the
Yeah.
coloring stuff for
He
the
did.
mustache.
I mean, it was amazing.
dark.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was the Freddie Mercury,
He-
and he sounded like him, and that was really neat. He had the white pants and
Right.
the muscle shirt.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Wow.
Well, Bob, since you're here, what we do on the show is we do play recorded music, and if you want to play DJ, what's some of your favorite bands? What should we lay on the listeners today?
Well, you know, when I was growing up, you know, a lot of us teenagers in the 60s, one of the things we would do during the school year, or even when it was non-school, rush home to our TV sets and watch Where the Action Is. Now, Where the Action Is was a show by Dick Clark of American Bandstand. The difference between it was on every Monday at 3:30, Monday through Friday. And the difference between that and American Bandstand was that all the performances were outdoors, on a beach, in front of a big pool, on an amusement park, sometimes on a battleship, a U.S. battleship, sometimes by a lagoon. I mean, it was sometimes on a ski resort that people would be skiing in the background. Obviously, it was lip syncing, but the house band that became real famous and went on to host 2 of their own TV shows, and they made over 730 TV appearances, more than any group in the history of music on American television, Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Oh,
And,
okay.
For you youngsters out there, Paul Revere was the keyboard player, And that was his real name, and he was related to that famous Midnight Rider from the Boston area. And
really, there's some family
their
lineage
family
there.
heritage. There's true story, and they dressed up in those Revolutionary War costumes from the Revolutionary War days.
I remember matching all 5 of them in the band had
Right,
matching outfits and the hats. The
hats, the tri-corner hats.
Hats.
And they would some of the guys would do their dance moves. They had synchronized. It was kind of corny, but it was fun at the same time. But they were a great band, and they went through a diversity of genres. And like I said, they were just, but they were one of my favorite bands growing up as a kid, and I was a big Raiders fan. Saw them every time they came to St. Louis.
Yeah, I see on your Facebook feed that you maybe bring them up
all the time,
about once a month. Anyway, it's like, hey, we're Paul Revere and the Raiders. What up?
Yeah, right.
Now, Paul Revere, the leader of the group, he kept the band going for many years and even had a long run in Branson.
He did,
like
yeah.
5 shows a week.
Right,
in Branson.
it was amazing.
And
yeah,
in Silver Dollar City, I think he was cranking out 2 or 3 shows.
Yeah,
a day.
you're still doing it. You're doing nationwide tours. Unfortunately, passed away just about 3 years ago, and not the original lead singer is still alive. Mark Lindsay is still doing good. He gets together with Flo and Eddie from the Turtles to do those Happy Together tours a lot.
Yeah, right. They do those up there at that Family Arena.
Family Arena, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Do we have some Paul Revere and the Raiders?
Now, which one did you want to play?
Good Thing.
Good Thing.
Do you have it?
I think I do.
Let's
So how
go ahead
about
and
it?
give it a
All
listen.
right.
Is
Well,
it time?
we can take a quick break. Is that all right?
Yeah,
Come
that's good.
back.
Makes sense.
We'll
Come
come
back
back.
to
We'll come right back to it. All right. You are listening to the Jimmy Tebeau Show right here on K-Kid 92.9.
Yeah, thank you.
I see why.
Yeah.
And these guys, man, they played thousands of shows. They probably did over 10,000 shows.
Oh, it was amazing. Like I said, over 730 TV appearances. They were the house band on Where the Action Is, which was on 5 days a week. Then when that show folded, they got their own show 5 days a week called It's Happening. And they were the host. This one, they were the host of it as well as performing. But it was amazing, all those appearances, 738, over 730-something appearances, TV appearances.
And then the long run in Branson as well.
Oh, incredible. Yeah, they had a good run.
I think it's just amazing in general, the whole Branson scene where these even the bald knobbers, 5 shows a week, 6 shows a week.
Yeah.
And, for like 8 months at a time. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's like our own mini version of, Las Vegas, we're
Right.
residence artists,
Yeah.
And,
Andy Williams moved from Los Angeles to Branson.
Yeah, I mean,
Built
that was a
theater
big
from
coup.
the ground
Yeah.
up.
And
Built a
then-
restaurant.
yeah.
Louise Harrison, she's got the
Liverpool Legends.
Liverpool Legends down there,
Yeah.
and they're still there, and they were voted the #1 act in Branson.
Yeah.
Right. So very,
The
Yeah,
longevity of
changing a little
bands.
bit. Yeah.
Well, it's inspiring to me. I've got over 3,000 shows under my belt, and I'm amazed I'm still in the game because it's so hard. But then to hear of these artists that have tens of thousands,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they get into
Right.
these gigs, and then there's those actors on Broadway, like the actors that are signed on for Cats or something. That's
Right.
been
Oh,
running
my
for
God,
years.
years.
Those
Yeah.
guys are doing
My
5
God,
shows
yeah.
a week, and it's high pay, but it's very demanding.
Right.
You're supposed to be there every day, ready to go, well rested,
Right.
boom,
Right.
nailing your parts every night.
Right.
And you don't have much time for much else, and you sign on for that. But speaking of shows, I should give the swag report of what's going on. Do we have swag report and sound effects? No. That sounded like a toilet flushing.
No kidding, man.
That wasn't a toilet. That's a lion.
It's a lion roaring. Okay.
Yes.
All right, I hear it now.
Fierce.
We're going to have to work on these sound effects.
Yeah.
I remember the original idea for the show. It's like, oh, we got a radio show. We could have sound effects. This is going to be so fun. And we are having fun. But
Yes.
the swag band is what actually pays the bills. So we got to plug that. We just announced a show yesterday that is, and we do crazy things like this. The show's not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Yeah, we announced a show 10 days out. And no, it's not a little last minute, little small club show. We're playing at a special event space in the Soulard area of St. Louis. It's called the Mad Art Gallery. And we didn't want to do just the swag. We also added a Pink Floyd tribute band.
Oh, awesome.
They're called This One's Pink. They just played with us at Birdfest. They're from Peoria, Illinois. They drove 2 states away down to Arkansas, showed up on time, nailed the Pink Floyd. They played for like 2 hours and 20 minutes and got into a mean version of Pigs.
Wow.
Anyway, which we... we're going to release that as a video. We put that in the promo clip for the show. So it's going to be the swag, playing 2 hours of music, Pink Floyd playing the Pink Floyd music, doing 2 hours of music, and then we're going to have the Dancing Bear Tribe performance art group, and in this unique event space we're doing, the Mad Art Gallery, is a former police station. Get this, built in 1937. It's right next to the Bush Brewery, not too far from Highway 55 in the Soulard area, but the jail cells are still in the one portion of it. Now there's the big area where the concert is, but then there's different areas of the building. And in the one cell block, we're setting up a DJ stage, and we're turning it into like an old school rave room, and you can literally dance in the jail cells. And Mohawk here, he sets up the DJ stuff, the
we had
light
lights.
show.
Yeah,
fog.
we fit lights in there and fog, and hopefully we won't have the fire department show this time.
And Jimmy, the
invite
DJ,
them, you know, I mean.
Well, yeah, they should come and have a drink.
the DJ for those people who are dancing, so he's got to play Elvis Presley's Jailhouse Rock.
Oh, you're right.
And right in cell block number 9 as well.
Cell block, I'm going to have to write that down.
That's funny.
Yes.
We've done a couple smaller shows at this place before, and they were like, the first time we played there was a wedding. That's how I clued into the place. This venue doesn't like run concerts. I ended up there, we were hired as a wedding like 3 years ago. We're just the hired wedding. I got an address, and I show up, and it says police out on the front of the building.
Dude's going, is this a setup or what?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's
thinking
old
too.
school. You can tell it's not an operating police station, but they left the old neon up there. And it shares the parking lot with the Anheuser-Busch Brewery tourists, people that come in to take the tours and that, and in the evening the parking lot's wide open, so there's a big lot. And this place does a lot of corporate events and weddings, high-end weddings, because they have a commercial kitchen. They do a lot of cooking, and at this event they're going to be selling food and beverages. But so I did a wedding there, and then like a year later did a memorial there. I did the memorial for my mom there.
That was a kind of a bittersweet occasion, but it was really well done. It was a nice tribute to your mom, and the bands who showed up were not just there to see the swag, but to pay their tributes to your mom, who was like one of their own at all these festivals.
Right, and it was such a beautiful room, and they worked with me on that. And then we did a benefit show there, and then so we worked with them like 3 times, and we're like, we should come in with a big bang and bring in a big production, which we are bringing in the big production. Monty from MJ Sound here in Rolla is bringing up a big PA system and a big light show.
Right.
And we're going to hang lighting not only on the stage and around the stage, but over the actual audience. Because this event space has the trussing over the entire space. So we want like it's coming at you from all angles.
Right.
And we're adding a video wall. When this Pink Floyd group played with us at Birdfest, they had a video for every song, and their bass player even had it queued up, and he had a foot switch, and when they'd start the song, he'd hit the foot switch, which would start the video on the big Jumbotron screen behind them, and it would go right in sync with the music. And they're going to do that again. We're like, we need to bring this show to St. Louis and let all our friends in on this. And these guys are from Peoria, so to run to St. Louis wasn't too big of a deal. They were open on Memorial Day weekend. We were open. I called the venue. I'm like, what are you doing Memorial Day weekend? And they're usually booked. They usually have a lot of weddings, and it's not easy to get into this room. And I called them. I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, Jimmy, we're dark. When we were thinking about going to the lake, you got an idea? And I'm like, let's have a party. Yeah. It's like that scene in those old Mickey Rooney movies where they're like, let's put on a show. There's always the one person.
And here come the dancing girls.
Right, exactly. Because we're like, Ron could cook some food, and Taylor could tend the bar, and we can get Monty to run sound, and so Justin's got a video wall. And before you knew it, everyone's like,
Bada bing, bada boom.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Because sure, it's a holiday weekend and a lot of people get out of the city, but not everybody leaves the city.
That's right.
There's millions of people that live in the city. So
now what day are you doing it on?
that's May 25th, Saturday, May 25th. And we can only sell 600 tickets, so that's all that's available. They're $25 each.
Okay.
But it's an extravaganza. Doors at 7, show at 8, 2 hours of the Pink Floyd, 2 hours of Dead. And then the Dancing Bear Tribe girls are going to do what they're called, their showcase thing is known as a flow case. And they get up there and they flow to pre-recorded music, and they do solos and duos, and they're going to present that as well. They did that one time before, and everyone dug it. So.
Wow.
Very cool. So tickets are available?
They're available online at the Schwag website, or there's a Facebook event page for this event. We're calling it Dead and Floyd event.
Dead and Floyd.
Dead and Floyd event. I didn't know what to call it because it's an event. I just want to say the Schwag at Man Art Gallery because it's way more than that. It's kind of, we used to do Schwag stocks on Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
For years.
Popular weekend,
Would come down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we would sound check on Thursday, and we'd play a Friday show, a Saturday show, and we used to do a Sunday show.
Yep.
It was advertised.
On the second stage.
On the main stage a few times. Like, we'd get maybe 5,000 to 7,000 people there, and they'd be there for the Friday and Saturday. And by Sunday, there was still 2,000 people hanging
It's
out.
amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And 2,000 people is nothing to shake a stick at.
No.
That's like,
Yeah.
you guys want to party? Let's rock.
That's right.
But then a little bit later on, we're like, just did the Friday and Saturday. It got tiring. Although a lot of times on the Sundays, I would end up solo acoustic on the front porch
Right, I
at the
remember that.
general store.
I remember that, too.
Remember that?
Right.
Good times.
It was 3 or 4
Good way to
people
wind
on.
down a little bit after a whole weekend of a festival going.
Yep.
And my voice was usually shot from singing all weekend, and I'm the owner of the property and working with a team of people plus the band members. I'm rehearsing band, so I'm talking a lot and singing. So by Sunday, my voice was really shot, but I'm still like, yeah, let's sing some song. Who's got some whiskey? And I think people.
So did the whiskey just kill the pain in the throat, right?
I think it just
Put a
made
little honey
me
in it.
maybe not care so much that I was a little raspy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I think if it was the big show, it'd be a different thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then I was picking songs to play that weren't in the higher end of my range vocally.
Right.
More of the long-haired country boy songs
Gotcha.
and stuff like that. Which
that kind of is in your range too. Long-haired country boy.
just leave this long dreadlocked hippie boy alone.
There you go.
Yeah. But Jimmy, if I may, a good friend of ours,
Yes.
mutual good friend for many, many years, and who booked you at his club at 2720, our good friend Josh from Loyal Family.
Yeah.
This Saturday, they're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Pop's Blue Moon with the Moon Festival. They're blocking off the street.
Yay!
Yeah, at 20 years, that's
That
a long
is
time.
good.
That is amazing.
Very cool.
Now, if you've never been to this thing, they get permission to block off the street and have bands playing the street. No cover charge from 4 p.m. to 11. A lot of outdoor cooks will be cooking, and it's the 20th annual one. When we want to send our love to Josh, his whole family who helps run that bar, and book not just some good local talent, but also some good national bands, and lesser-known national bands, but good nonetheless. And congratulations to Josh and the whole crew there at Loyal Family for 20 fabulous years.
They've been doing a great job. They were involved with 2720 for a while
Right,
across
wow.
town, and now they're doing a few things at El Vulcan, just up the street. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah, I have, yes. Yeah.
I've been in there. I went for their warm-up night, and it was a pretty cool venue. I was quite impressed because, I drove by this place for so many years and never knew what was inside. And I was presently, I was quite surprised.
And that's like at Kings Highway and 44.
Yeah,
Right.
right there, right off the highway.
Right.
Who I talked to earlier today was Rob Webster from the Tater Patch, and they're really doing some amazing things with live music here in Rolla.
Right.
And tonight, which is Wednesday, they're doing it's this weekend and next weekend. I saw it come across my news feed, and I asked him what it was. I thought at first it was a karaoke contest, and he quickly corrected me. He's like, "Oh no, Jimmy, it's a singing contest, and these people are backed by real musicians." I'm like, "That's happening in Rolla," and tonight is I don't know what round it is, but I know next Wednesday is the finals, and whoever wins gets like $1,000 or something. Like a really good, if you're a good singer and you're going to nail it. Now that happens at 7. Our show ends at 7, so it might be. We should go over there, Bob, and check it out.
Right, yeah.
It's just right over here. It's
right
really
down
cool.
right
They got great food and some good drinks, and they run live music 4 or 5 nights a week.
Wow.
In fact, I just booked a solo acoustic show there.
Ooh,
and on a Wednesday in July, we're going to do the radio show, and then after the radio show, go right over there and do a solo acoustic show. He's running solo acoustic stuff out on the patio on Wednesdays, and then the Fridays and Saturdays, rock band inside. Great production.
Wow.
They even have video wall panels in there.
Oh, that's
Not
cool.
very many venues do.
No,
Some of
they
the
don't.
venues just have some of the old school park cans up.
Yeah.
And then the bigger, newer venues with the big budgets, they've got the intelligent lighting and the high end stuff. So,
Yeah. Well, speaking about that, Jimmy, one thing I've said, and I saw this down when I was down in Austin, Texas. Great little club, the Continental Club. Now, what they do, everybody knows the bands that are coming that they like a lot. But these unknown bands, how do you promote them? Yeah, you can put it on your website. You can even put posters in the club. But what they do, and I've tried to get the old Rock House to do it, they get that big screen in back. Before the show begins, in between acts, they show simple YouTube videos of groups that are coming in. And they'll say, on this date, here's who you can catch. And if there's anything, you can put up a picture of a band, but seeing them on stage, the way they dress, the way they sing, boy, and since they've been doing that, they've been getting more and more people to play like 2 videos in a row of a group that's coming in within the next week or 10 days. For the ones that they all know about that they don't have to promote, they don't have to do that. But man, it's a big eye opener. And if clubs could just get maybe not a big screen like the old Rock House, but just a big screen TV and
saying,
right
hey,
the
this
stage,
is what's up.
and the guy behind the sound man would be saying, hey, coming up this Tuesday, and just play they're from Austin, Texas, or wherever. And boy, ever since they've been doing that, people got time to watch because they don't want to lose their spot in the crowd. They'll be watching that, and man, it's an eye opener.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And more promotion. Okay, we plugged the Tater Patch, plugged Josh's thing. We talked about the Mad Art Gallery. But at the end of July, here's the big one for the year. If you remember anything from this show, here's the catchphrase: Swagstock 48.
Wow! Yeah.
Yes. That's what I want to do.
So Swagstock, we started it many years ago. We've been doing it this is our 22nd year, Bob. You know that?
That's amazing.
We've been a band 28 years, and this is the 48th in the series. The event stopped for a while when I was in prison for a year or so, and we restarted the series last year. We partnered up with the Shriners there in Waynesville. The Shriners organization have a campground with a stage
fantastic.
and pavilions. And we worked with them last year, and the event went amazingly well. We raised money for the Shriners Children's Hospitals Network. And this year, we're going bigger and better with them. We're giving them a cut of the proceeds off the gate, and they're getting all the liquor sales. So we're all working together to throw a real professional, well-organized event. Swagstock 48, it's 2 nights of my band, The Swag, playing the Grateful Dead hits, obscurities, and deep cuts and organic jams. And other bands for the weekend include the K Brothers. They're doing 2 nights, bluegrass music.
Yeah,
You've seen
good.
them.
Oh, man.
They're burning hot right now.
Man, a hip-shaking band, man. I tell you what, you can't sit still for those guys.
And 2 nights, they're playing both nights, so are we. They're just camping out, inviting all their friends and fans and family to camp with them. And so are the Driftaways, ska band, reggae band from St. Louis. They're going to play the whole weekend. It's nice when bands get to camp out for the weekend and play 2 sets, and all the bands are encouraged to change their set list completely.
Right.
Well, encouraged, like strongly advised, I should say, because the Swag does. It's like, why are you playing 2 nights if you're repeating songs? Although if there's a hit or some people are really wanting to hear a certain song or whatever,
sure,
whatever, it's not that strict. But and Jake Willis is going to be playing. He was a regular at the Swag Stocks.
Yeah.
His beard's longer than mine.
Yeah.
Him and me did that ZZ Top tribute one year.
Oh, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
He was Billy Gibbons, and I was Dusty Hill. And we had the Swag drummer as Frank Beard, the guy in the band that doesn't have a beard is named Frank Beard.
Yeah.
And But Schweigstock 48, 2 nights of camping.
Wow.
Shrine Camp, Waynesville, Missouri. Tickets are available online now. If you get them in advance, they're a little bit cheaper. It's not that much. I think it's like $75 for the weekend. It includes all your camping and the concerts, and we're doing the big production at that one too. The big video wall, the big mega light show, bigger than what we're doing at the Mad Art Gallery. The Mad Art Gallery, we can only fit so much in there,
right?
Because this video wall company has a huge wall, and we can only fit so much in there. But we're bringing more of it out, if not all of it, to Waynesville. And same with Monty's lights. He's got like 60 different moving head lights. That's this crazy. Mad Art Gallery thing will get in there, 24 or something, which will be, rocking for that inside space. But we're bringing more of it out. So it's the big mega production.
Very cool.
Yeah, well, Jimmy, speaking about, gigs, one thing that I would like to see you play, and I'm surprised they haven't asked you, considering all the shows you've done at Ballpark Village. Not only indoors, but the great outdoor shows you've been having a holiday weekend. But why, I even brought this up to the guy who runs it, I know who they are, but Grateful Dead Night at Busch Stadium. What they have is before the ball game, they have a Grateful Dead tribute band play, and for a special voucher, you get the Grateful Dead Cardinal T-shirt. It's usually a thing with the bears walking down, and then you get a Cardinal emblem. But it's a nice T-shirt if you get the voucher. And they have this every year, and it's a smashing success, obviously. And you go up to the third floor of the stadium, and you watch the show, and it'll last about an hour and 15 minutes, and you go back to your ball game. And that's what I'm hoping you guys get to play, because you deserve it. All the gigs you played just right across the street.
Well, we were going to get that gig, but we were already booked there to play April 20th.
Oh.
So we were booked April 20th, and then they announced that, which was May 11th, right?
Yeah,
So it was like 2 weeks later. It's like, it's tough to book a band in the same market.
Now, did you play inside the stadium?
No, when we played there on April 20th, we played inside Ballpark Village next to the stadium because there was a ball game going on.
Yeah, but see, the Grateful Dead night there, you inside the stadium.
Oh, I know.
You're on the third floor of the stadium, like they have, for instance, the other one I'm going to a couple weeks ago, Margaritaville night. There's some local cover band that does all Jimmy Buffett stuff. But anyway, one of these days we got to get you guys booked at the stadium before the ball game on.
Check this out. Adventures of the Schwag continues. This weekend, we're playing in Dallas, Texas at Gas Monkey Live, which, if listeners are familiar with the cable TV show Gas Monkey Garage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the original garage, they expanded, and then they turned one of their garages into a nightclub, which is a 200-body room, extremely popular. So popular, they just opened a second venue, Gas Monkey Live, which is where we're playing. It holds 3,000 people, and we're playing with a Doors tribute band and a Led Zeppelin tribute band at that one. That's this Friday.
Wow.
We're leaving tomorrow for Dallas.
Wow.
But now keep that in mind. Now, in Arlington, Texas, which is in that Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's a big mega sports complex, whatever the sports teams play there, and next to it is an entertainment place, which is almost identical to Ballpark Village. And that place contacted us and booked us for August 16th for their Grateful Dead night, and it just got announced. So people are picking up on that. So we're getting called from 2 or 3 states away to play. And these 2 Dallas gigs fell in my lap. I wasn't calling Dallas trying to get gigs.
Wow, that's a tribute to you guys.
Okay. Well, it's the top of the hour. Maybe we should take a commercial break or something, Steve. What's going on over there?
You want to bring it back with the song? What other song you got?
Oh, yeah. Should we listen to some more Paul Revere and the Revere?
Yeah, let's listen to more Paul Revere.
Well, I've got Indian Reservation.
Okay, we'll go with that one.
All right.
They had a lot of top 10 hits. That was their only song that ever made number 1, though.
Good.
Yep. All right, well, we need to take a quick little break and a weather, and it's going to be brought to you by your area McDonald's. You're listening to the Jimmy Tebeau Show on KKIZ.
You are listening to the Jimmy Tebeau Show on KKID 92.9 FM, Salem, Rolla.
Jimmy Tebeau Show. I can understand why you're afraid of that there, Beetle Bob.
I tried giving this to Bob at the beginning of the show, and he's like, I shouldn't have came on the show.
It's like the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly,
I will not wield that power. It's like, let me get into the show. Well, now that we've been in the show for a full hour, Beetle Bob, you might be familiar with what we do now. We call this comedy time.
Right, yeah, it's time.
And we're going to tell jokes. Did you bring some jokes in today? Because I got some.
Yeah, I brought a couple. You going with the...
Well, you're Beetle Bob, so
Yeah.
I dug high and low on the internet to find some Beatles jokes.
Okay.
And there's not a whole lot of them, but here's one that I found. What does Yoko Ono and Ethiopians have in common? They both live off of dead Beatles.
Oh. Wow.
That's a bad joke. That's kind of bad. You got one, Bob?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Okay. Paul McCartney's in the recording studio, and he says, guys, talking to the Beatles, the other three Beatles, and George Martin, he says, what would be a perfect, do you guys know what would be a perfect ending for Hey Jude? John says, nah. Ringo says, nah. George says, nah. George Martin says, nah. Perfect, guys. Get it? Nah.
Is that a true story?
No, not really.
That's a bad joke.
It's just a bad joke.
I'm so gullible.
I believed it.
What do you got, Giuseppe?
Hey, you know what happened when Gene Simmons visited the Virgin Islands?
You know what happened?
What
It
happened?
became just the islands.
Oh, Gene Simmons from Kiss. Destroying virgins across the land. Is it back to me? I got another one. What were the worst words ever said in rock and roll? Hey, how about we let Ringo sing one?
Oh, that was Jimmy. Come on.
You call that singing? No, I'm a fan. I think it's really cool what he's doing.
Yeah.
All right, Bob.
Okay. If the Beatles wrote the song called Green Submarine, it would be called Sublime. Get it? Sublime.
I like it. What you got, Giuseppe? You got one?
Well, yeah, actually, I got a joke about deadheads.
Okay.
Says, how many deadheads does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
2. One to twist it and one to light it.
Oh, I love it. That's a good one. Yeah, that was good.
I thought I heard all the Deadhead jokes. But keep
No, you haven't.
Now, before the show, Mohawk told me a joke that was hilarious, and I'm like, "Are you gonna tell that one on the?" And he's yet to tell a joke on here. Are you gonna do it? Are we doing it?
Yes, I'll tell a joke. Yeah.
Okay. Here's Mohawk with it.
He's cleared it with the FCC.
I try. Yeah, I made sure.
There's no
this was
dirty
safe.
words in it.
No, I don't.
There's
think
implications.
Implications. All right. A penguin takes his car to the mechanic. The mechanic tells him it'll take about an hour to fix. The penguin heads over to the 7-Eleven across the street to kill some time and have an ice cream. But because he has clumsy little flippers, he gets the ice cream all over his beak. When he goes back to the mechanic tells him, well, it looks like you blew a seal. The penguin says, no, that's just a bit of ice cream.
Oh. We got that one in.
Oh, man.
I thought that was funny. Oh, are we in trouble now? Okay, how many apples grow on a tree? All of them.
Oh,
That one was a little cleaner. That's all I got. You got any more, Bob?
yeah. In Russian, how would you say let it be? So be it. Get it? So be it. So be it.
That's very punny.
It was.
That's a pun.
It is.
A bad pun.
Play
I
on
like
it was. It was a terrible play on words.
And we love bad jokes
Yeah.
here on Wednesday nights because it's hard to find a good one, so we do what we can. You got any more, Giuseppe?
This is just kind of off the top of my head. You know, Beetle Bob, you talk like you remember the classic rock era, but you know what? I don't really believe you, because, I mean, nobody who says that, nobody who talks like they remember the 60s was actually really there.
No, I get it. I get it. The old, if you remember the 60s, or you weren't there. I get it. Okay.
Wah, wah.
Remember that old saying. That's a good one,
There
too.
you go.
Okay, I broke my arm in 2 places. You know what the doctor said?
What?
Stay out of those places.
Oh.
What's going back there? What do you call someone who points out the obvious? Someone who points out the obvious.
He's on a roll now.
Why should you never make fun of a fat girl with a lisp? Because she's probably thick and tired of it.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'll tell hippie jokes too. What's the difference between a piano and a fish? You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
oh,
That's an old one.
that's an old one. I remember that one. Yeah,
Someone
I
get
could
me
see
out
that
of this.
one coming.
Someone get me out of a rut. I'm getting in trouble with all kinds of people here.
Wasn't that an album
well, you
cover
know-
or something?
It was. It's a rock and roll album.
I thought so.
Now it's a joke on the KKID radio show.
Well, so let me tell you this. So sometimes the best humor is a true story. Several years ago at Off-Broadway, one of my favorite singer-songwriters from Texas, Jimmy LaFave, came up on stage. And he told a story, you know, when, Jimmy, you can relate to this, and any musician just starting out in a band, it's tough to get good gigs. When I say a good gig, at a good venue, even an opening slot, or at a good place, they don't know much about you. You're an unknown quantity. So he was doing a solo thing real early in his early 20s at an all-you-can-eat seafood restaurant. This is a true story now. So he goes in there, and he plays all the most popular covers there are. But during all 2 hours he plays, not one person claps. And he's making this motion with his hand. Everybody's going like this. It's an all-you-can-eat seafood restaurant, you know. He does this for 5 days. No one claps. So finally, on the 6th day, or about then, he decides, I'm going to do this original song, this beautiful song I wrote about my wife. And he plays it. And somewhere in the crowd, there's a person clapping. And he looks out there because he wants to acknowledge that person. It wasn't a person clapping. It was a guy hitting a ketchup bottle. True story. Anyway, he was so despondent. He quit that night. You know, it's true story. Got done.
Man,
true story too. Really.
I believe it. You know, in this music industry, when we talk about all the great gigs, that's because they don't. You know, there's only so many in a year. There's a lot of bad gigs. And even when you're at the top, I've heard of big national acts having bad shows. Where they've had to cancel or just one thing went wrong. Even though on the same tour, they had some sellout shows.
Right.
So it happens on all levels.
Yeah, and no matter what genre, too. You know, it doesn't matter.
You know, and now in my 28th year of running this band, I'm becoming really selective about what venues we play, and I've gotten better at seeing the red flags. Not that I'm good at it. There's still, you know, we hit a clunker every year, and I'll come in and tell you about that. That'll be the next week. I'll be like, oh boy, guess what happened to us this weekend? You know, we thought it was going to be cool, but oh my gosh,
Right.
I got a list. Where
The
does
gig from hell.
There's gigs from hell. I should tell some of those stories. I've told a few already, but I don't want to get into that. We're still in the joke thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
I've got a few more. I heard Mars has no atmosphere. Could we create an atmosphere by dimming the lights and playing smooth jazz? How does Moses make his tea? He brews it. Hebrews. Why did the Cyclops close his school? Because he only had one pupil. Could you see that? A Cyclops
Yes.
opened a skull. He only had one. Okay.
Gotta use your imagination on that one.
Are we done, or you guys got any more?
I got some more.
Oh, let's hear it.
Well, why did Bono fall off the stage?
He didn't have a chair.
No, well, he was too close to the edge.
Oh, that Bono. I'm thinking of Sonny Bono.
I was thinking of Sonny Bono too.
Me too.
All right.
Thanks for showing our age, Bob.
That's
Beetle
right,
Bob.
Well, if we're talking
I know.
about the band U2, I think it's technically pronounced Bono.
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 Oh,
Now, when he said the Edge, that's the nickname of the guitarist.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Right. Bono.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so those that are out there going, I don't get
Well,
it.
at least I didn't pronounce it boner or something.
Poor Sonny Bono when he was in school. They probably really let him have it.
Yeah,
Sonny
yeah.
Boner.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I got it bad when I was in kindergarten, first grade. You know, my last name's Tebeau, so I was Jimmy T-Bone Steak.
Yeah.
T-bone steak.
Yeah,
Huh?
hey, T-Bone Steak. You know. I don't think I let it ever bother me. I just kind of rolled with it.
Yeah.
You know, but I remember in kindergarten we were singing Jimmy Crack Corn and I Don't Care during music class, and everyone was pointing at me laughing. Like, oh, his name's Jimmy. You know, now here's years later, I don't think they let kids sing Jimmy Crack Corn. Anyway, I think it's right. You don't sing that.
Yeah, that's not.
It's like politically correct.
Yeah. Do they even say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning in school?
They still do.
Okay.
Yeah. My daughter's 10 years old and my son's 12, but sometimes I do the daddy day at school or whatever. And the day I went, everyone stood up and did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Excellent.
And we did in school.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it was an honor because when you were a kid in grade school and you got to go out and actually put the flag on the flagpole and take it up, and then when you had to bring it down, you couldn't let it touch the ground, and you had to fold it up just right and into the triangle, and I don't know if they still do that. Yeah. So, yep, here we are.
So, do we got any more jokes, or should I play a song?
I got one.
You got one?
Yeah, I got more. Well, what do Deadheads say, or concert heads? What do they say when they run out of dope to smoke?
What?
Man, what is this awful music?
Oh, now I tested that theory once. I've seen the Grateful Dead 77 times, and one time I didn't do any drugs.
Wow.
What?
Well, how do you know when Deadheads have been staying with you? How do you know when Deadheads have been staying with you? They're still there.
There you go.
Okay, how did Hitler tie his shoes? In Little Nazis.
Be careful.
Does Mohawk have any more dirty jokes?
I might have one more.
Oh gosh, he does. I'm challenging him.
Yeah, this is gross. All right. A man was having premature ejaculation problems, so he went to the doctor. The doctor said, when you feel like you are getting ready to ejaculate, try startling yourself. That same day, the man went to the store and bought himself a starter pistol and ran home to his wife. The night, the two were having sex and found themselves in the 69 position. The man felt the urge to ejaculate and fired the starter pistol. The next day, he went back to the doctor, who asked how it went. The man answered, "Not well. When I fired the pistol, my wife pooped in my face, bit 3 inches off my penis, and my neighbor came out of my closet with his hands in the air."
Well, I don't know if we should let Mohawk tell jokes anymore.
You shouldn't. Don't ask me.
But he would tell him kind of a little about it, and I'm thinking, well, okay. Oh boy.
It's like, can I say penis?
And poop on her face.
Oh yeah. We're getting into some real quality entertainment here.
God.
Okay, I'll quickly change the topic before it gets weird. What type of music do mummies listen to?
Gets weird.
Rap.
I got to start over. Yeah, it's getting weird. Okay. What type of music do mummies listen to?
Rap.
You got it.
Yeah,
Bob knows it. Rap music. That's probably one of those jokes we would tell at the Halloween events.
Right.
Because we used to give out candy and there was trick or treats. Okay. Why did the Scarecrow get promoted? He was outstanding in his field.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah. So on behalf of K-Kid Radio, we want to apologize to all the listeners that we offended in any sort of way, and we love y'all, and we're just having fun.
Right.
So,
or Jimmy, is a joke kind of, but as Groucho Marx would say, and this is dedicated to all of our listeners, if you like what you heard today, when you wake up in the morning, tell your friends about it. If you don't like it, don't wake up.
Really?
Good
He
old
said that?
Groucho.
He did, really.
Oh my
Well, he
gosh.
would go there.
You
I'm
remember
like,
the
oh, this is going to be
Marx
very
show? I mean, golly, man. Oh boy.
That concludes. How many
Does that make
radio
you
shows
stand
at Time Comedy these days?
Oh, yeah, with such quality, too.
That's right.
Well, it's funny
There
that
you
we
go.
seek out the worst of the worst
Right.
jokes. It's like, if you thought that was bad,
Yeah.
listen to this.
Right. And by the way, any of our listeners out there, feel free to use these at your next party you go to.
Oh, please do, because we didn't write any of them.
That's right.
We're just fine. We're just
That's right.
presenting. I mean, that's
Pass
all
them
jokes, really, I mean, professional comedians, they're expected to write their own material or at least present it in a different way or whatever.
Right.
It's like, hey, I do this shtick, whatever, and then they say that. But
It's funny, though, how bands can go out and copy materials from band after band and artist after artist, and but a comedian, he can't go out and copy another comedian because he's stealing their music, material.
There's been some, accusations. I think Robin Williams even got hit somewhere earlier in his career that he was, borrowing somebody else's material and a little bit of shtick, but he was so creative. It was probably one little bit and someone was trying to get some money out of him.
Right.
Something like that. Like there's some band from England that's still trying to say they wrote Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. Did you hear about that? I don't think they're getting anywhere with it because the intro is similar to a song they wrote just like months prior to it. It's like Jimmy Page stole it from me and we played it. I don't know.
I can't remember who it was, but I think they already been to court and lost.
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah.
I do know that, but it was a big thing for a while, and everyone was kind of listening to the tracks going, well, I guess it's kind of, whatever.
Show me the copyright. I mean, that's what it's got to go by, right? Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Battery?
Well, so we...
Oh, it's hot. It needs to cool down. We got these little old school GoPros in here recording the show. We should let everyone know about that. This is our 8th show, 9th show or something? 9th. This
10th.
is our 10th?
Maybe.
I don't know. We've been doing it for a while. What year is it? But we've been videotaping the shows, and we've been editing. I say we. I did the first 3 or 4 shows editing, but Giuseppe here, he's been editing the last few, and the one he's getting ready to publish this week is, I think, last week's show or something. It takes a while to edit this stuff because it's 4 cameras. But we publish these. I think there's 6 or 7 episodes published. You can go to the KKID Facebook page in the video section. They all live in there. They're also on the Schwag Facebook page. They're also on the Schwag YouTube page. And share them at will, so you can see what we're doing in here. And here lately we've been dropping more different visuals over some of it's more than just talking heads on there.
Right.
Which,
And we're on number 9. Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Because we have Beetle Bob.
Number 9.
Oh, wait a minute. I should say it on this. Number. Bob, do you want to try it? Okay, he's going for it.
There we go.
Wow, Bob, you just blew my mind. I have no idea what you said, but then I understood all the subliminal backwards masking messages
you play
you put
backwards,
in there.
you can understand it.
I
really?
know.
Okay.
Yeah, because since we were talking about Stairway to Heaven, it's
right.
cool that he ran with that theme. That's the genius entertainer.
That's when tripping didn't mean falling over your own 2 feet.
Yeah. So, Bob, earlier in the show, we were talking about that when you and me, I went to see a band called Delight, and do you remember what club that was? It was on the 3rd story of a warehouse that's next to where the City Museum is now, but I forgot what the name of it.
The Other World?
The Other World, that's what it was. And I squeezed down in front, and I'm right on the rail. And then you squeeze up there because we were both just there or whatever. And then I think the DJ Dr. Martin opened, and then Delight comes out, and everyone's just going crazy, and it's a dance off to the extreme. And I'm in my head going, can I keep up dancing the whole time with the legendary Beetle Bob? And I was there by myself, and I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. I wasn't there with a date that I was trying to, because it was kind of like a pit thing. It was a crush onto the stage. Yeah, people were pushing up.
There even really wasn't much room for me to dance, really. You just had to go like this, You couldn't just swing out my arms like I usually do, so I had to go,
And it was when the band was at the peak of their popularity, packed house, and we're dancing, and I'm thinking, can I do it? And I kept up with you the whole show, and after the show, we're just wringing sweat. But the only way I could do it, and I got a confession, is I was on 3 hits of LSD.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That was the only way. You know, not that I do that stuff all that often, but that was an empowering experience.
Yeah.
And not that, you know, these days I think I could dance that long without it. And not that, but it definitely.
Yeah.
And now, Bob, a few people know that I'm friends with you, and they're like, so what kind of drugs does Beetle Bob do? Is he like, or did he used to do a lot of drugs, or what is it? And I tell people what you told me, but let's get it straight from the horse's mouth. So you did a lot of drugs in the 60s, and you're still like partaking, or what's the story?
Well, I don't do them anymore. Some of the heavy stuff I took was sautéed mushrooms, you know, especially good on wild rice, you know. I took that.
All right.
And Mary Jane, those little cubicles of candy. Oh, I used to just eat them by the dozen. Mary Jane was one of my favorites. And if you poured it out in your hand, it looked like, you know, Walter White's blue meth. But those swizzle sticks, boy, I used to just gobble them. Never put anything in my nose, but boy, I would just. So that's the extent of it. I didn't know, Jimmy. That's what I partook in many years ago. But I gave it up.
So from back in the day, even through those early Beatles concerts and Rolling Stones concerts, you were never smoking weed, doing LSD, or dabbling with what were people, cocaine or
the heavy stuff. No, I mean,
what are people into?
It was never, you know, it was never a thing to, you know, be moralistic, or it was more two things. Number one, for your health, your overall health. You know, number two, I get high, and you can tell this, Jimmy, and anybody who's seen me at a show, I get high on music. That's my high. My high is music, being with good friends. If I'm around that, I don't need any other substances. By the way, not knocking any of you guys in the room or our listeners, to each his own. Do it like John Lennon says, whatever gets you through the night, you know, it's all right.
No, that's good. I wanted to get that out there to everyone, because you don't need drugs to enjoy a show. And sure, over time, I've dabbled in a little bit of psychedelics and smoked some weed here and there, and not much beyond that. You know, I've tried a little bit of cocaine here and there, and even tried meth a few times, which led to a sinus infection one time, but that's another story. But man, now where I'm at, it's hard enough just getting through the day, you know, just getting good rest and eating some good food, and then you want to go do some gigs and stuff, and you're trying to do mind-altering experience, or, you know, mind-altering drugs. That's hard. So, but yeah, that's what I tell people is Beetle Bob does not do drugs, and not that he's against it or preaches against it, whatever. It's just it's like, but he's dancing all crazy, and it's like, well, the music. It's like you see me at shows, I get down too, you know, not like you've got the moves, you know. But yeah, you don't need drugs to enjoy a show, and the music has that effect on people if it's good music, and there's a lot of music out there, and to know what the good stuff is, and I know you have outstanding taste in music, because I've seen you at all these great shows, just not one genre, but a wide variety of different styles of music.
I especially exhibit all my good taste by going to so many swag shows, right?
That's how I know you got good taste in music. I see it in my audience.
Do you find yourself dancing more with your eyes closed or open?
Both, actually. You know,
do you feel yourself moving differently, you know, with your eyes closed? Like you can feel the music getting better?
Yeah, sometimes you can't, believe it or not. As strange as that may sound, you know. Yeah, I just pick up on it, you know. It's like, you know, you actually feel the vibrations.
Exactly.
It's an old cliche saying, but really you can feel it, you know. And it's a stimulator in itself. But it's funny, Jimmy, we've all heard this at shows, and they do it to get people to drink, but the band always says, drink a lot and the band will sound better. How many times have you heard a band drop that, you know?
There's been a few times we've been playing at a honky tonk or something, you know, in the early days, and I'd have a few cocktails, and I don't drink hardly at all on stage anymore. It's rare that I do, but I if I had a few cocktails and it was one of that crowd, I'd be like, hey y'all, you know, the more you drink, the better we're going to sound.
Yeah.
And then I say, and the more I drink, the better I think I sound.
That's a good one. I like that, Jenny.
Yeah, I kind of edit the other one.
That's a good one.
I made that up one night, and that got a good laugh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's when I thought, comedy. I need a career in
Right,
comedy.
There you go.
Right.
There you
And
go.
all it's led to is the 10-minute comedy portion of this radio show.
Wow.
But at least I get my yah-yahs out.
That's right. Speaking of the show, we need time to take a little break.
Is it that time? Time flies when we're having fun. Let's take a little break.
Right. 6:33. You want to come back to the string cheese? Or?
No, I want to come back to playing a song.
Yeah.
I got a song
Well,
I
let's
want
go.
to play.
All
I got a
right.
Bob Dylan tune.
Okay. Well, then we'll take a break. Coming back live, Jimmy Tebeau. You're listening to the Jimmy Tebeau Show on K-Kid 92.9.
The greatest rock and roll ever made
It's a great radio station. Oh, yeah.
Best music ever.
plays here. K-Kid 92.9.
All right, we're live in the studio here at KKID, Rolla, Missouri. Jimmy Tebeau Show. Oh, the streets of Rome, filled with rubble, ancient footprints are everywhere. Well, you could almost think that you're seeing double on a cold, dark night on the Spanish day. Gonna hurry on back to my hotel room where I got me a date. Monticelli's knee, and she promised she'd be right there with me when I paint my masterpiece. The hours we spent inside the Coliseum, dodging lines and wasting time. All those mighty kings of the jungle, I could understand to see 'em. And it sure has been one hard climb. Train wheels running through the back of my memory. Raring on the hilltop, following a pack of wild geese. Someday, life will be sweet like a rhapsody when I paint my masterpiece. When I left Rome and landed in Brussels on a flight, someone that almost cried. Clergymen in uniforms with young girls full of muscle. They were all there to greet me when I came inside. Newspaper men eating candy had to be held down
by the big police. Someday I will be sweet like a rhapsody when I paint my masterpiece. Yes, and someday everything's gonna be different when I paint my masterpiece. When I paint my masterpiece.
The Jimmy Tebeau Show right here on KKID. Man, our special guest, and I tell you what, Beetle Bob, it's been a while, you know. I mean, you used to stop in on the morning show on your way down to Schwag Stocks, usually brought by our good friend Scott Fanning, right? And riding down on the bus. Remember the bus?
Oh, yeah, right. And I'll tell you, too, you know, Scott has been doing a really great job. Wish I could remember some of the venues. But over in Illinois, he's got his own little production company.
Right.
And Jimmy, I can't remember it. Maybe you do. He's been booking some really good bands over there.
Crazy Circus Production.
Right, that's it. That's
right.
it.
Crazy
Yeah.
Circus Production.
Maybe
Yeah,
He's a character. We had him on Special Forces for Birdfest recently, and he'll be working on a golf cart at Schwagstock.
Yeah. There
So
you go.
beware.
Right.
Bob, are you going to come down to Schwagstock?
I'm going to try to make it. I haven't been to one this year yet. I got to keep my streak alive, you know?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
you got to introduce
That's
the
right.
band and shake it on stage.
Yeah, shake it up,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
Oh man, what else are we gonna do tonight? We should talk about what we got coming up here. What shows are you going to this weekend, Bob? What's hot in your world?
Well, you know, and I'm not complaining about this, but we had tonight in St. Louis, we had a Battle of the Daves going on at the Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, Dave Matthews Band, and then at the Sheldon sold-out show, David Crosby. So you got two Battle of the Daves tonight.
I bet you both shows are going to do well.
Oh, yeah, I think they're both going to do well. You know, so you got two great shows to choose from tonight.
Right.
And what was going to say, a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you know what I like to see more of? You know, we got St. Louis always in the fall or late summer is the Lou Fest, you know. But I like to see more of those more mini festivals going on here,
Right,
you know.
right.
Outdoor things. I mean, I like going to clubs as much as anybody, but there's something about going to an outdoor festival, whether it be in a small little park, you know, and I mean, it's just something about getting outdoors with people, and they're a lot of fun to go to, you know.
You know what I saw coming up that could be interesting is that the Pagan Picnic there in Tower Grove Park. It happens like June 1st and 2nd.
Right,
It's
right.
like a Saturday, Sunday. I'm taking the kids over there.
Right.
And it's just a lot of vendors selling unique items, and then there's some music, and then
Yeah.
there's demonstrations of different things.
Right.
And, you know, you hear Pagan Picnic, you think it's be this big religious thing, and
Right.
there's not a whole lot of talk about religion going on.
Right.
It's just more of a kind of a lifestyle and the different clothing.
Yeah, well, you know, speaking about that, our mutual good friend, Teresa Parker from the old shanty days,
Right.
she sent me a Facebook message this Sunday at the studio at KDHX. They're doing a tie-dye party at 1 p.m. And I don't know exactly what that means, but they're encouraging everybody to wear their tie-dye. And I think there's other events going on with it, but check out KDHX's Facebook page or their website. But it's a tie-dye party this week, and Teresa, you know, sent me a message about that.
There's little cool things going around in pockets of St. Louis. You got to know where to look and when to look. You know, like the Broadway Oyster Bar, it's a real gem of a club. And I recommend people go down there, but you got to go down there on the right night at the right time.
Right.
And usually their sweet spot of time is between like 11 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And I've had people even go on the right night with the right band, but they left before all the energy happened. You know, they're like,
Right.
well, we were there 9 to
Yeah.
10 and split. It seemed kind of slow.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
10,
ooh.
11, it picks up.
Well, you know,
It's
that's-
between 10 and
yeah.
11. Then
Right.
between 11 and I've closed the place down before. Well, we played there a number of times over the years where we're playing till 2:30 in the morning, 2:45
Yeah.
in the morning.
Wow.
And then we're loading out at 4 in the morning, and there's still some people hanging
Yeah.
out.
Well, you know, Jimmy, I got to say this, and I've said this to friends of mine who really, that isn't their particular big genre, the so-called jam band thing. But I say, guys, I will tell you this. Any band in any genre, you would want bands as dedicated as the jam band fans, because, for instance, our good friend Sean with the Voodoo Players.
Yeah,
that's on a Wednesday, and that thing goes to 2:30. And I've gone down there after I've seen my national act. Those people are still out there dancing, and the jam band fans. You won't notice me at a jam band show for the most part because everybody's dancing. And unless you're up front, you won't even see me.
Because just blend
everybody,
in.
I blend in, and even though I'm wearing a suit, everybody's. And that's the strength of it's amazing. It's a whole generation, each 10 years, a new generation of jam band fans. It's contagious. It really is in a good way.
Right. I was going to ask you about you have a somewhat of a standard outfit. I mean, I have certain clothes I wear on stage, but when you go out, you're usually a sharp dressed man. I think you're always a sharp dressed guy.
Yeah,
in the suit coat and the pants.
Right.
And the classic mop top. Me being a performer, it's good. Like Mohawk.
Right.
His stage name's Mohawk.
Right.
The Mohawk.
Yep. The Mohawk.
And he's got a Mohawk.
Right.
Yep.
He's a dubstep DJ. Did you know that about him? And
Great
he's
stuff.
sound effects man extraordinaire.
Yes.
Hey Giuseppe, you got some banjo music?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
That's fine. We have street busker Giuseppe in the studio. He's been here helping out with the cameras and everything, but this guy has some off the wall talents musically.
Some banjo chops.
Banjo chops, which he mostly shares in public streets to passersby, not so much professionally. So we're it's worthy of radio show.
Right,
So
kind of off the beaten path, but definitely worth checking out.
And little known fact about Giuseppe, he's a retired Oregon marijuana farmer.
Thanks.
It's a cool job. Sounds fun.
It is a cool job.
Sounds really fun.
What are you going to play?
Okay, this is House of the Rising Sun.
Let's hear it.
All right. There is a house in New Orleans you call the Rising Sun. It's been the ruin many poor girls, and Lord, I was one. If I'd listened to what Mother said, I'd be at home today. Being so young and foolish, poor girl, let a gambler lead me astray. My mother, she's a tailor. She sews them new blue jeans. My sweetheart, he's the drunkard, Lord God, drinks down in New Orleans. The only thing the drunkard needs is a suitcase and trunk. The only satisfaction that he gets out of life's when he's drunk and hoboing from town to town. Mother, tell my baby sister not to do like I've done. Shun that house in New Orleans you call the Rising Sun. Got one foot on that platform, the other upon that train. I'm going back down to New Orleans to wear that ball and chain. I'm going back to New Orleans. My race is almost run. I'm going back down for the rest rest of my life beneath the rising sun.
Yeah, Giuseppe.
That's right. We're trying to offer the alternative entertainment choice. You know, how many radio shows have a? We got a banjo picker today.
That's right.
You know, and he's going to sing "House of the Rising Sun," which is traditionally an older tune. That was written years ago. That wasn't written by the Animals.
Yeah, actually, the Animals didn't invent that song.
The Animals did not.
There is a Lead Belly version, and there's a Woody Guthrie version. Mine is a little closer to Woody Guthrie's, and the Animals version is closer to Lead Belly's version. I wish we could play some of that, though.
No. See, I never knew Woody did it. You know, Arlo's dad, right? Yeah. All right.
Well, no, that's thank you for sharing. That's good stuff. Well, Beetle Bob's been a wonderful guest on the show. We thank you for coming out, Beetle. Now, if people want to,
yay, Beetle Bob!
Thanks, guys.
the in studio audience loves you.
I also want to mention real quickly, Jimmy, speaking about House of the Rising Sun, and since you tied it in with the Dylan song you did, when Bob Dylan heard the Animals do an electrified version of that, that's what influenced him to turn electric.
That song, Masterpiece?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
House of the Rising Sun.
Oh.
When he heard that song, true story, when he heard House electrified version, man,
he was more familiar with the traditional
the traditional Lead Belly, but that really influenced him to go electric.
Wow.
Yeah. I heard some people were upset when that happened.
Oh, I mean, when he played that Newport Festival, some people actually booed him when he came out and did the electric stuff.
That's what I heard. Now, I've seen Bob Dylan like 5 times live, and some of the stuff he's doing, it's always kind of changed up.
Yeah. Well, speaking about Dylan, probably the most unique concert as far as surprises. The band called The Band, was playing at SIU Festival
In Edwardsville,
Yeah.
Illinois.
Who should show up for the last song? Dylan. Now, you got to remember at this time, Dylan had that motorcycle accident. There were even rumors going around that he died or was in the hospital for a couple months, But unannounced, Jimmy, it's the only time on tour that he played with the band that particular night. And it just stunned everybody. He came on for the encore, Bob Dylan, at SIU, and nobody had heard from him. This was before all social media. There was no social media in those days. And where's Dylan at? What happened to him, And it just shocked everybody. Yeah.
So, Beetle Bob, if people wanted, listening audience that are just kind of like, who's this Beetle Bob guy? If they want to find out more about your musical adventures, you're on Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook. I'll be telling you about all the good shows I'm going to, what's coming up, plus other pop culture, events that I've been involved in, my Beetle Bob Throwback Thursdays, and, talk about that a lot. And of course, I pay tribute to my all-time favorite St. Louis rock and roll DJ of all time, Johnny Rabbit. Not to be confused with Ron Ells, who's the Johnny Rabbit now, but with Don Pietromonaco, who passed away in 1997, who's still my all-time favorite, rock and roll DJ from St. Louis.
So people can, it's not a friend request. They can be a fan of yours on
Both a fan
Facebook?
and a friend. So don't be confused. As I was telling some people, I have a friend page called Bob Beetle. Now, the reason being, I had a Beetle Bob friend page. Facebook made me take it down. They said for a friend page, you have to use your real name. And I even sent them links to, articles that have been, I said, most people know me by this. They still made me take it down. But the ironic thing is, obviously my real name isn't Bob Beetle, and I'm getting away with that. Now go figure.
Oh, okay. So if they want to friend you.
Yeah. And it'll be my picture on it. So if you recognize what I look like, it'll be that. Now, I do have a Beetle Bob fan page. Now, on a fan page, you can use whatever name you want to make up one,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So not to be confused. Right.
All right, so that's Beetle Bob. And if you want to hear about my band, The Schwag, you can go to theschwag.com. That's our website. We are on Facebook, The Schwag on Facebook. Give us a like. You can follow me on Facebook too, Jimmy Tebeau. They limit you to 5,000 friends. I'm maxed at 5,000 friends, but they let you have as many followers as you want. And if you're a follower, you're still getting the stuff I put out there personally. And I've got like around 8,500 followers or something. But I try keeping it fresh and change it up from what I'm putting on the Schwag page. Your social media is good.
Right.
I'm even been getting text from you. You got a text list. So people send you.
Yes, right.
How many people have a text list? I'll get a text like at 3 PM, like, oh, I'm going to the Sheldon tonight to see blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a review of what you're going to see.
Right.
Oh, that's great. Well, it seems like we just started the show and we're winding up here. So we did videotape the show again. Giuseppe's going to edit it, and we're going to get it on the KKID Facebook page here within the next 4 or 5 days. We're trying to get it. We were a little behind for a little bit getting them up there. That's why we released 2 this past week. But we're caught up thanks to Giuseppe helping us. So check out our videos on the KKID Facebook page. Give that page a like as well.
Absolutely.
And don't forget about Swagstock 48 coming up.
Right.
July 26th, 27th at the Shrine Camp in Waynesville, Missouri. I got to endlessly plug that because it's the big shebang.
It is the big shebang.
But we used to do 5 of those a year. We're doing one. We're doing one in Missouri, and this is it. So let's all come out and shake our bones in the field and raise some money for the Shriners Children's Hospital.
There you go. And don't forget, I mean, only 600 tickets available for your
Mad Art
Memorial.
Oh, yeah. That's the big thing. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. We're playing at the Mad Art Gallery in St. Louis with that Pink Floyd tribute band. This one's Pink. And they're amazing. Doors are at 7. They're going to start at 8 o'clock. We're going on about 10:30. The whole party goes
amazing
till 1 in the
light show, from what I understand.
Yeah, MJ Sound and Lights are going to be there. We got the video wall.
Right.
And
$25 per ticket. You can get those on the Swag website, right?
Swag website, Swag Facebook page, because it's through Eventbrite, and Eventbrite is partnered up and is owned by Facebook, so they're all in cahoots. So we had to give in to the man. It does make it really easy, though.
Well,
we can scan those tickets when they come in.
They're
making their cut. Although nobody's been complaining. No one complains. You know, 5-10 years ago, people were like, it's like whatever. But I don't know. And we do want to remind everyone that this radio show happens every week, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. live right here on KKID Radio 92.9 FM out of Rolla, Missouri. We broadcast live to about a 50-mile radius, 21,000 watts of power. Commercial rock radio.
And don't forget about all the other Boss KKID shows here as well. You know, it's multiple great listening, no matter what part of the day or evening you're listening to. It's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Well, Dusty's doing the living room chair on Friday nights from 5 until right. So the living room chair, that's his jam band show.
He's got some
3 hours. Yeah, he does.
Music.
I tell you what, man, you hear some really fabulous stuff on that show as well too.
Right. Well, we should sign off. We got Mohawk in here, Giuseppe, and Beetle Bob, Steve at the controls there, and my name's Jimmy Tebeau. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Really do. Really appreciate it. Thank you to our beautiful sponsors.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you guys in the morning. This is Steve and Jimmy signing out.
Goodbye.
Your number one priority.